Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Taya and this is Papagaio, my Junglecore island. Today we're going to be working on the resident representative's house here on Papagaio, and this is where it is right now. It's on the beach and
I don't want it to be here anymore.
on screen is the map that my husband and I worked together to design while we were thinking of ideas for this island. So here's a side-by-side of the two maps. Here is the island as it stands right now. So we're really working on a lot of it. Almost everything within the first line of tiles has been created for this island, which is super cool. So the next thing that I would like to work on is my resident representative's house, which is going to be placed like in this square of the map on the second level on an island in a lake. I expect a lot of terraforming. I am going to demolish that incline on the left side there, and then I'm going to move my house and I'm going to build another incline that leads up to the house area. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's start up the construction and get started. So for the terraforming, this part did take quite some time to get organized, and I did put my map to always on so that I could kind of get a good look at what I was doing with every new piece of cliff that I was putting up. And I ended up adjusting it slightly after the fact, but I was actually super excited to get this base level of terraforming in place. My other island, which is Junglecore, is called Okanda, and it is quite flat on that island, and so doing Papagaio as more Junglecore and having all these different elevations, I will say it does take quite a lot longer for the builds, so we're just going to skip forward. I'm going to show you the map, and I have this like little sliver that I have to fill in, but you can kind of see that I've built up the second level in a rectangle-ish shape, and we're going to refine that a little bit, make it a little bit more natural feeling, and add some third level for some cliff decoration behind my house, as well as getting into the water terraforming too. So there's lots of meat in this video, and I cut it down as much as I could, but I still wanted to show you. There were some people asking for more of a behind the scenes look, and so I did want to include that, but there are timestamps there as well for you if you would like to skip forward a little bit to more of the decorating part. Feel free. And I'm getting started on my little lake, and it feels more like a river that surrounds the house than a lake that my house is within, if that makes sense, because I wanted to have the ability to just jump to my house across the river so that I didn't have to put in a bridge and I didn't have to have stepping stones or anything like that. I just wanted it to be very simple for me to get to my house, and just one single hop over the water sounded like the easiest method. And I play around with this shape quite a bit. Having a initial outline, an initial map for this area was actually quite helpful, because using Happy Island Designer, I didn't have the restrictions of like the in-game spaces, and I was able to plan it out. And I mean, I don't really recommend doing it for your entire island like tile by tile. If that's you, then that's you. But I found I did that for Okanda, and I've lost a little bit of steam on Okanda because all of my creativity was kind of like taken up with my initial plan for the map, and because it's already kind of like done on the map, so to speak, I feel like there's less creative energy that I can bring to it like in the moment, whereas on Papagaio I just did a rough outline, and I knew that most of it was probably going to change when I actually got the map for Papagaio, and I kind of like that. I kind of like just seeing like a general, okay, you shouldn't really go much farther than this on this build, just so that my builds don't get too big so that I have enough room for everything, but also so that I just have a general idea. So even like with Flora's area, for example, it turned out really great because I had a general idea, but it ended up taking up more space on my map than I thought it was going to take up, which was totally fine because I didn't have everything really strictly planned out on my map going into it. What about you? Do you plan out your builds before you do them? Or even just in a small way, like do you plan out the items, or do you do some spacing tests, or how do you plan out your builds? if you plan them out at all. Once I had the water terraforming planned out, I moved on to the cliff that's going to be behind, and I'm going to create some waterfalls that kind of come down from that. But I wanted to get that all sorted out so that I could plant some trees before I put in the actual housing plot and change those inclines that I was talking about before. So I wanted to make it feel kind of natural, and I planted a bamboo tree here, but at the end it doesn't actually end up growing, so I will have to adjust that slightly. It's so difficult with the tree rules sometimes. You think you got it figured out, and then one tree doesn't grow for no reason. So I'm calling stage 2 area prep, which is incredibly vague, but it's basically all of the trees and all of the like pathing adjustments, getting my housing plot in place, getting the incline set up, and then time traveling a little bit to make sure that everything is where I want it to be, and changing out some of the bushes, for example, and that kind of thing. And I took note, I was watching a couple of other channels, and I noticed that people tend to decorate their cliff before they time travel and have the trees grown in, which is such a simple thing, but then you don't have to worry about the trees getting in your way because you can walk right over the saplings. The bushes you can also walk right over, and you can just place down your furniture in a much easier way. So I thought of it and I thought, you know what, I actually do want to get that out of the way before I time travel. So I wanted to get that cliff decorated before I went any further. So that's a different process for me, but I was really like, just that small change made a huge difference in just like mobility on top of the cliff. And I actually laid it out in a way that I was really happy with in the end. And my pathing struggles begin quite shortly. I do end up figuring it out to where I'm like so happy with how the pathing is on this little island, but it was not a linear line to get to where I wanted to go to. So I did have to leave all of my pathing troubles in this video, whereas normally I would cut them out because I went back and forth so many times. I will admit I went a little overboard with the shrubs on this build, especially in this tiny little area, but I do make some adjustments. I have been looking at a lot of Junglecore inspiration, and I noticed that a lot of people use a lot of shrubs on Junglecore Island specifically, and it just fills in the areas that you can't add trees to and makes it feel more dense. So I'm trying that, and I think I'm going to continue to try that even on my other islands. There's times where the trees, you can't fit furniture between them, but you also don't want to have to deal with like fossils spawning between them or your villagers getting lost in there. And I think shrubs are my favorite way now to kind of block those areas off, make them look a little bit more finished without using like a ton of furniture items, because villagers can't get back there and you can't have like things spawning, or even just like weeds and cleanup, or like in Onokanda specifically, because it's set in the fall, there's just so many like acorns and mushrooms and everything that just spawns in there. It's really annoying sometimes to do cleanup on there because there's just so many different objects that spawn everywhere, like tree branches and that kind of thing. So bushes have been really helping me on that island as well, to just block off some areas that are, you know, can't really get to easily, but you want them to look finished and filled in, and you don't really want to put furniture there. So highly recommend using as many shrubs as you can. From the start, Papagaio was expressly created to help me get better at water terraforming. That was one of my main criteria in choosing a theme for the next island that I wanted to do. And my husband thought Junglecore would be the perfect way for me to practice with my water terraforming, and I totally agree. So I'm really happy with that. And I've been actually getting better at it, I think, and just terraforming in general, which is something that I used to not do a whole lot on my first island. On that island, I just set up the terraforming at the very beginning and left it that way for the entire duration of the island. I did change some slight things, but for the most part, it was set up at the start and I just worked around what I had done. Anyways, back to this build, I'm just trying to decorate around some of these little cliff areas that I know I won't be able to access once all the trees and bushes grow in. So I'm just creating all of that decoration over here, adding some partitions, adding some stone accents and flowers, which I think it's so much fun with Papagaio. I have the opportunity to use so many different colors of flowers and all the hybrids and everything, just mix and match it together, which has been so freeing and so fun. One thing I really liked doing on this cliff was actually putting elements on a half tile. It makes it seem more decorated than it actually is, because you can put custom designs down on 2 tiles and then have the one thing sitting over both of them, like I'm going to do with this anthurium plant as well. It makes it feel more full than it actually is without having to add too many furniture items. So I think I might have to go back actually and decorate some of the cliffs that I had already decorated for this island, just because I enjoyed the way that I had that set up even more. And we're on the next day. It's a rainy day, which looked actually very pretty on my island. And I'm moving around some of these bushes just because I planted way too many bushes. And we're adding in some more colorful flowers to this main island area, which I think came out super cute. I'm absolutely obsessed with the flowers in this area. And my main goal for this day was just to see the bushes grown in and to see some of the trees. If they needed stunting, then I was going to do that. But I ended up adjusting some of this pathing now that I knew my house was there. One of the main things that I wanted to do with this area on the little island was have just a tiny seating area for me to have coffee in the morning on my island. It's so funny how Animal Crossing sometimes feels like it's you're playing with dolls or something. I was obsessed with dolls when I was a kid, and doll houses and that kind of thing, so it just feels like a glorified doll house that I'm creating. But I did want to have a little like seating area where I just put down those tiles, and also a little coffee area right there on this rug on this side. But I end up changing like so much of that. I end up moving it into the middle and then over to the left hand side by the end of it. But that is what I was talking about before with my pathing troubles, because I do it in such a gradual way that it changes over time. And so I can't really cut out everything that I'm doing between, unfortunately. So many areas of this build, tiny little areas, were a little challenging to get exactly the items perfectly right. And it can be easy in a speed build for it to seem like I'm just flying through and just placing the items. I know exactly where everything is going and I look like a champion, but that's not the truth. The truth is sometimes I have an area that's only 4 squares wide like this, and it takes me like 5 minutes to get everything exactly the way that I want it to be. So this is real. This is real here. We finally got it though. Originally, I thought that I wanted my mailbox to be on this little island as well, but the customization that I have on my mailbox is like white and it looks more like city style, so I might have to change it back to just the plain wooden mailbox that you get at the start of the game, because I think that that would suit a little bit better, but I'm not even 100% if I want to have it like on the actual little island. I think it actually would be really fun to have like a jungle post office area, but I've never been good at having my mailbox so far away from my house because I do like to check it quite frequently, so I'm not sure how that would work out. But anyways, we're working on a little seating area right outside the front of my house, and originally I had it like really centered here. I thought it'd be cool to have a little low imperial table and with some floor seats, because I love doing that kind of a setup inside my house. But it did not work for outside, and it just looked strange that it was so centered. So through the wonderful power of editing, I am going to cut out this imperial low table struggle, and we're just going to get on to me figuring it out with what I actually wanted to do. I'm really curious to know if you have somebody that you can ask about your builds. Like, do you show off your builds to like a family member or a friend to like get their opinion on it ever, or like even on a Discord server or something like that? I think it's so important. I think it's so cool when you can do that, because I literally am always bothering my husband and being like, can you look at this to like help me? And sometimes his ideas are like completely not what I was thinking, but exactly what I need. And he just said, put the flowers over on the right and put the sitting area on the left. And I was like, how is that so perfect? How did I not think of that? And it just changed everything, and I was able to get this little area done like in 2 seconds after he said that, after fussing with it for like a half hour. So you're welcome for cutting out all of that imperial low table. But here we are, we have a rattan table with a stool, and it looks amazing. I also kind of enjoy having a little flower area on the right, as if I have like a little kind of flower garden that I'm tending to every day. Maybe I'll add a watering can there or something. Super cute though. I'm really happy with how this whole little area turned out now. Once I got it figured out, I was very happy with it, but it did take me a hot minute to get there. So no sooner had I finished the struggles with my seating area, it was time to move on to the next struggle area, which was the bamboo partitions that I wanted to put in front of my house. I ended up kicking off a section of flooring by accident and picking up way too many things. My pockets were crammed full with stuff, and it took me a second to figure out, but I knew that I needed to extend the water terraforming on the left-hand side there, just so that I could put the bamboo partition even in front of my house. So It came together, but it was also another area that was a little bit difficult because I did want to layer quite a few items there with the bench and everything. I thought it'd be super cute, so when in doubt, just pick up the items and put them back down again over and over again until you get it right. That's my strategy. I'm so happy with how that little cluster of items came out, and I was so happy. I just ran in circles for a second. I was loving just how that little cluster of items came out on the left-hand side there. And it's really just a couple of final touches. Right now, when I was in the build, I wasn't sure if it was going to take me like an hour more or like 5 minutes more because I just was never confident with the items that I was putting down. I ended up changing them out several times that I actually cut out of this video. But I moved on because, of course, like sometimes your brain is just done with looking at one specific area. So I decided to move on to my little laundry area on the left-hand side. I just have a couple of clotheslines. And that's basically it because I don't really still have a lot of items in this game yet on this new island. It feels funny to say that it's a new island because I feel like I've been playing on this island for a little while now, but I still don't have all of the items that I would normally have on an island, like little rattan baskets or little wash tubs kind of thing. So I have to craft some of those to put into this area as well, I think, and that would flesh it out a little bit. But it was a good little breather, and I was able to come back to my house and get some more things done on that area with a fresh brain. There are just a few more finishing touches and we will have the final reveal, so I'll leave you to some music and I'll see you at the end. All right, everyone, so we have our final house area. Of course, I'm going to remove this little incline over here because this is an extremely awkward situation happening. But once that is removed, it will be just up a little tiny bit of pathway here. I'm going to adjust this slightly, I think, but I'm happy with it for now. I love panning up here. That looks so cool back there with that lantern. I think is so cute. I just realized the tree that I planted back there did not grow. Oh, that's a shame. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure out that bamboo tree situation because we need a bamboo tree back there. Anyways, you hop over this little river here and you're onto my little mini island. And we have a little tiny place for me to have a coffee in the morning because
I'm addicted.
I really like these bamboo partitions behind here. I was not sure about them, but I think putting the bamboo bench in front actually made a huge difference. And then on this side, staggering some items. I don't have my mailbox on my little island, which for me, I don't know if that's going to work out super great because I'm really used to checking my mailbox super regularly, but I think I just need to customize it so that it's like the wooden mailbox. Oh, hi Flora, you come to visit me at my house? If I have a wooden mailbox, I might stick it over here, or I might just make a little post office area in the future. I think I would really like to do that. Anyways, that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think down below, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye everybody. I got something in my eye. Bye everybody.